Ladies and gentlemen, we are now talking to ex-Falcons, ex-Giant, ex-Bengals, linebacker, the one and only Michael Boley. Mike, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, man?
We're good,
Fir-
man. I mean, obviously good.
First of all, I appreciate you guys for having me on, man.
Well, first of all, I want to know what you're doing, but now that you're away from, obviously, sports, are you working in the health field?
I do some work. My mom works here at the hospital, so
I
I do
got
some
it.
work over here.
I got it because I when I see the kind of stuff that you're wearing, it only tells me hospital. It tells me something in the health field because
Yeah.
scrubs. That's hospital. I work in the hospital field here and there, so I know a little bit about that. You will never see me wear a scrub because whenever I wear scrubs, they always ask me, "Are you a nurse?" No, my girlfriend's a nurse. Why the hell I would be wearing scrubs? But
You wear them
nevertheless,
every day. You are a scrub.
you know what? Kiss my butt.
Goba. Pass liquor.
Anyways, Michael, we're very happy to have you on. Obviously, a lot of Giant fans love you on this show. Speedy's a Giant fan. Poops is a Giant fan. And our executive producer, he's sitting backstage, Mr. Aaron Fishman. Very excited to have you on because you did win a Super Bowl with the New York Giants. We'll get into that. But first, what have you been doing since you've left the NFL? What have you been working with organizations?
Oh
What have you been doing?
man, I've did a little bit of everything since I retired. Mostly time with the kids. Lately, my twins are 7, so
Wow.
they're busy nonstop during the weeks with gymnastics and tumbling and cheerleading and my second oldest is just started his senior season at the University of Virginia,
Hmm.
playing left tackle. He's playing pretty well. So spend a lot of time making sure I keep an eye on him and making sure he's doing good things both on and off the field.
Well, offensive tackle, that means this kid's probably like 6'4", 6'5", maybe even bigger than that. How big is your son?
He's almost 6'6", just
Wow.
under 6'6".
That's a
He's
big
about
man.
315, 320-ish.
Wow.
Yeah, big kid.
Oh, man. I can't wait to see him in the NFL like Daddy Dukes. So,
Hopefully one day.
all right, so let's get into that 2011 season. I know Giant fans love the sound of Super Bowls and Super Bowl championships. What was it like playing for a team that was very well-rounded? You had JPP, you had Justin Tuck, you had an unbelievable O.C. Umenyiora. What kind of team was that Super Bowl champion New York Giants team?
Man, like you said, it was a great all-around team. It's crazy to think back to like how long it took us in the year to to get everything rolling that year. Because I mean, we had pretty much the whole team throughout the same year, throughout that whole year. I mean, we had a few dings here and there with some players in and out of the lineup, but for the most part, the same team, and it just took us that one game, that game against the Jets, for us to really just
Thank you.
hop on
Thank you.
that wave and ride it out through the rest of that season.
I was at that game. It was, and I'll never forget, it was Christmas Eve. I was at that game. I got a chance to enjoy. And by the way, just so you know, that after the game, after the Jets lost that game, and I remember that was the growth of Victor Cruz. I didn't forget, but I got a chance to see my friend piss off somebody because he ran into the car and then they chased us all the way through the city when we had to park our car next to the tree and hide because these 6 guys were looking for us because my friend was absolutely drunk. But that's a whole nother story. We were very upset. But, yeah, I remember that season. It really made me sick to my stomach. And I remember it was Smith that missed the tackle against Victor Cruz, and he ran it in. Eli Manning did not have his best game in the first half, but in the second half, Eli Manning took over, and your defense took over in the second half. Made me sick to my stomach, just so you know.
I mean, we love to make people happy.
I figured.
It made me happy because I had a that year because that year was the Dream Team Eagles allegedly that was going to happen. So I had a couple of friends that were Eagles fans. That
Yeah,
were,
I had nightmares that year.
Yeah, since you're a second-tier Eagles fan, yes, I know. You probably had that kind of thing, too. But obviously, that was supposed to be their big year. I still thought the Giants were good, though. Like, I thought they would make the playoffs. But he was like, oh, the Eagles are going to win out. They're going to make the playoffs. And then you guys beat the Giants. So that whole adversity in the regular season, like the '07 team was like, the postseason was the difficult one, but they made the playoffs easy. You guys had to overcome a lot of it in the regular season, especially with the linebacking core. What was that defense like between the defensive line and all those linebackers like you and Chase Blackburn coming in, all these random guys that really played well?
You know, I've been telling people for years, like having a D line like that, like it makes life a lot easier in the back end. Like you said, you mentioned JPP, Tuck, OC, Kiwi, Chris Canty was on that line, Rocky Bernard.
Yep.
Um, man, like if you look at the depth that we had, like you can just throw any bunch of guys out there. They're gonna get the job done. They're gonna get pressure on the quarterback. And speaking of Chase, man, I love Chase. I love Chase to death. Chase was at home up until the week we played Green Bay that year. And I remember I pulled my hamstring. They brought Chase in, and man, he picked up like he never left. It was like, dude, like, have you been here all season? Like, he jumped right in the playbook. They put him on the field, and it was like he never left.
Obviously, coming from the Falcons to New York, what people don't understand how different it is when you get to New York coming from somewhere else. What was that a big adjustment for you as far as like the media, or like
Oh,
was it
for
just like
sure.
another day?
Oh, definitely. I mean, first and foremost, I spent the whole first part of my life in the South. Born and raised in Alabama, college in Mississippi. Being there, it's like, I'm in the South. So I'm used to the South, just everything. And I get to New York, and my mom had spent some time in, she was travel nursing when I was like in high school. She spent some time in Newark, and a couple other places around the New York, New Jersey area. And so she had been up that way before. And I remember one of my first weeks up there, I'm at the grocery store, and it's like simple things. I'm like, Mom, I call my mom, like, I don't recognize any of these brands of bread. Like, what's good? And but no, just as far as the organization, I mean, nothing bad about Atlanta. Atlanta was great. I love Mr. Blank. He's a great team owner. He did a lot of good things with the team down there. But it was just a different atmosphere coming to New York. Like you said, you mentioned the media. Man, like I remember in Atlanta, yeah, you play a game, after the game or even after practice, you might have one, maybe two people come by your locker, want to talk to you. Man, you get to New York and it's like at least 6 to 10 people every time. You're like, wow, like this is a much bigger media market than what I was used to. So it took a little bit of getting used to because like I said, they were even coming after practice, and I wasn't used to like normally you get a big crowd. It was normally after a game, not after practice.
I want to get into the playoffs and how clutch. I mean, you got a chance to watch Eli Manning in 2007 do it the way he did it against an undefeated Patriot team, but then go into the playoffs again and go on a run and actually beat the Green Bay Packers, but didn't beat Brett Favre. Now he beat Aaron Rodgers in the same place in Green Bay. What type of player, what kind of ice in the veins of Eli Manning that you can explain to us? What type of player is he in the locker room? What type of player is he when you're playing in a big game on a football field in the absolute freezing cold of Green Bay?
Eli's not a rah-rah guy. Like you see a lot of these guys, especially when games get really close and it's coming down in that fourth quarter, they're they're up and down the sideline, they're pumping their guys up. No, no, that was never Eli. Eli was just him. It's funny because him and Peyton are completely opposites. But you see like the way he composes himself, and like he's just him. He attacked the field, and it's like something happens. You've seen the videos. His face just never changes, whether it's good or bad. He's just got that look on his face, like, oh yeah, it happened.
But it doesn't make any sense because now I see him away from football. The guy's in commercials. He's prancing and dancing around. He's in commercials with Odell Beckham. He's playing practical jokes on people, ex-players. Him and Baker Mayfield. I see. Was he that type of player in the locker room? Would he play practical jokes on you guys?
All the time. My '09, my first year in New York. I remember I came out of a meeting. I get my phone out of my locker. It's in Japanese. So for him, like if you left your phone unlocked, he would go through and change your language. And luckily, I had my iPad, so I could just like follow the steps of how to get my language changed back. And it's like I'm looking around. They're like, "Oh yeah, Eli did that." They're like, "Oh yeah, he does stuff like that all the time." I'm like, "Seriously?" But it's like the subtle things. Like he played like little practical jokes like that all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. We actually, a couple of years ago, had Rich Soybird, who was a guard on that team, and he was saying, like, oh, Eli's one of the funnier guys on the team, but I always did the funnier stuff, too. And he was, like, going through all this stuff. That he was taking shots at Eli and stuff when he was on the show, like, as a coach now. It's kind of funny. We actually had a couple of them, too. Brandon Jacobs has been on our show. Prince Amukamara, we interviewed at the Super Bowl. Justin Tuck, we interviewed years ago at one of Tom Coughlin's events. So I want to move on to Tom Coughlin. Like, he was, obviously, as a Giants fan, my favorite coach. It was so annoying when they got rid of him, and the Giants have not been the same since then. But,
annoying, upsetting.
Yes, definitely. But it was always thought of that way, like on the field when you're seeing him, he's like, oh, he's a tough-nosed guy, but he was always one of the best players, coaches in the league. Like, did you get that kind of perspective with him?
Coughlin was a hard coach. He's one of those coaches, like, just on the field, like, he'd make you not like him. But then you talk to him off the field, and he is the nicest guy ever. Like, on that field, he's strict. They will be followed or just won't be part of the group. My first year, I had surgery pre-camp. He wouldn't say it directly to me. He'd come to the trainer that's standing by me while I'm, doing the exercise bike or something. He'd say, what's up with this guy? Like, when's he coming back? Try to throw, like, little subtle jabs at you. And I'm like, dude, like, I had surgery. Like, what do you want me to do? He was hard, but everybody loved playing for him. They loved his attitude. They loved his approach to the game. But he's a great coach.
There's always seems to be a guy that steps up. Obviously, you had huge names on that team, but there's always that unsung hero. Who the unsung hero is?
I don't think enough people give a lot of credit to the job that, and I'm going to say there's three people, Antrell Roll, Deion Grant, Kelly Phillips. I don't think a lot of people give enough credit to the job that those three guys did on the defense. Like, for those three, because of the way we did our defense, like, it was hard for a lot of teams to put us at a disadvantage because Antrell was playing our nickel cornerback. But when teams would try to do a lot of motions and crazy sets to kind of throw us off a little bit, and a lot of different sets and motions and all that good stuff, man, kudos to those guys for real. Deion Grant and Kenny Phillips.
Kenny Phillips. Who doesn't forget about Kenny Phillips? We are, as everybody knows, we are talking to former Falcons, Giants, and Bengals linebacker Michael Boley, Super Bowl champion Michael Boley. And if you don't remember him, he was part of that linebacking core of the New York Giants that went all the way to the Super Bowl and surprised the one and only New England Patriots. Now, going into the Super Bowl, what was it like experiencing that week and a half all the way to the Super Bowl and getting a chance to step on a field with one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, Tom Brady? Were you starstruck when you got on a field and you saw Tom Brady on the other side? Were you starstruck when you were on one side of the sidelines and looking across and seeing Bill Belichick? What was it like playing against two of the greatest at both respectable positions?
Well, just the week in general was just amazing. Even just actually making it to the Super Bowl and then all the stuff that led up to it. We had all this stuff going on, within the Giants and throughout the city. And then, but as far as playing them, that was actually our third time playing them that season. So we played them the last preseason game of the year. I mean, the starters didn't play, but, we played them as a team. We played them that year during the year in New England, and we beat them there during the regular season. And so to kind of see them again, it was another, it's kind of like, all right, we've seen this show before. Like, what can we expect? We're still kind of, everyone knows Bill is a great coach, and they know how he is a great game plan for every team that he goes against. And so we kind of thought they would throw some wrinkles at us, so we kind of didn't know what to be prepared for. But to look across him and at them in that moment, like it was a really in awe moment. Like, wow, like I'm on this stage against this team. It's like, wow.
So seeing what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick have become now, obviously Belichick with the big loss the first week of college season.
Why do you have to bring that up? This has nothing to do with what Bill Belichick has done as a head coach in the NFL.
And we talked about Tom Brady last week, obviously owning the Raiders too, and the NFL kind of giving him a little bit of special treatment.
Yes.
Broadcasting now, he has this $375 million contract. What are your thoughts to both of them, since they've parted ways?
You say since them two parted ways?
Yeah,
Since
well,
Brady and Belichick.
and then
parted
now
ways.
the
Man.
NFL changes the rules for Tom Brady. He's 10% owner over there with the Las Vegas Raiders, and now they've decided, hey, you know what? We're going to skip the rules, and now Tom Brady can go on the field, he can go into the locker rooms, and he can actually be a play-by-play broadcaster for his own team's games. What are your thoughts to the NFL changing those rules for the one and only Tom Brady?
Not surprised. The league is, for one, the league is forever changing. They've always been one to kind of put some stuff aside to, change some rules to kind of see how it would go. But, Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's arguably the GOAT, at the quarterback position, for him to play as well as he did for as long as he did. And so for him to go off the field and still kind of be a symbol for a lot of people, like you said, being a minority owner, but also being in the broadcast booth, I think that'll open up windows for more people to want to do stuff.
As everybody knows, we are talking to former Falcons, Giants, and Bengals linebacker Michael Boley. And I want to apologize to the fans. There is no video because Michael Boley is in Arizona. There's a storm coming. So he's been going in and out, but we're very happy to have Michael on. I know he's a busy guy. He's got a son that's 6'6", 330 pounds of absolute bulldozing offensive tackle in college right now. Hopefully he'll be in the NFL very, very soon, and maybe we'll get him in the studio. I would love to see a 6'6", 330-pound offensive tackle in the studio right now. But nevertheless, Michael, before we let you go, is there a particular player as a defensive player that you didn't like to play, and who was the guy that talked the most crap on the football field against you?
Gosh, there was a couple of them, but Vic stands out in my mind.
Michael Vick, yeah.
Oh, man. And that's just for me, as a defender, that's kind of like guys now, you hate to see Lamar because, one, he can throw the ball, but he's extremely dangerous with his legs. And it's for both of those kind of guys, regardless of how close or how many people you threw at him in the backfield, you never really had him down until you had him down. And so that was one. But obviously, you play against, guys like Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Aaron Rodgers. Those guys are extremely smart. Drew Brees, he was another one. And those guys are really good at making checks at the line. So those are guys you hate to play against because regardless of how much game planning you do, they'll come up and see one little small thing that looks off to them. And next thing you know, you think you got it figured out, and they're changing their whole play up.
Okay, who spoke the most crap to you on the football field? I mean, across the field before the quarterback calls the ball and calls the play. Who is speaking? What offensive lineman? What wide receiver? Whatever. Who was the guy that spoke the most crap on the other side of the field when you were playing against them?
Man, Steve Smith.
We've heard that many, many times. We've had
Steve was, especially when I was in Atlanta, Steve talked it up and he backed it up. He's one of those guys, he going to come out and he going to let you know, it's going to be a long day for y'all. And, man, it's tough, when you get a guy who, who's talking to you like that and then, in your mind, what, we got to shut this guy up. He's doing too much talking. And then he comes out and he's still making catches on you, getting yards after the catch. And it's like, man, like, I can't stand this guy. But, Steve was, especially in his younger days, like, Steve was like that. And then I remember playing Carolina when, I think my first year in New York, might have been my first or second year. And I'm chasing, it was a run play, and I'm chasing a ball down. He came in and crackback blocked me. And so I'm thinking, okay, that's Steve. Like, he going to be talking trash. Like, the next series, he actually came up and was like, my bad about that hit earlier. And it kind of threw me. I'm like, he's messing with me, right? Like, I ain't never seen Steve Smith, like, apologize to anybody. Like, he's got to be messing with me. But to me, like, I think that just showed maturity. Like, he was getting older, and he's like, you know what, all that childish, petty stuff is behind him. So
it was Steve Smith. Interesting. It's not the first time we've heard this on this show, and it probably won't be the last time with all the different defensive players that we've had on this show.
Especially from that Atlanta team. Yeah. We had like 4 of them.
Steve Smith, and I've never met Steve Smith, but I've heard so many stories. I spoke to Brandon Marshall a couple of times, and Brandon Marshall's an offensive player. And I'm not talking about the linebacker Brandon Marshall. I'm talking about the wide receiver Brandon Marshall. And I remember who was the guy that spoke the most crap on the football field. And he says, well, I was on the field with him, but the guy on one sideline to the other, it was Steve Smith. He said Steve Smith didn't shut the F up. He just kept yapping. And it didn't matter to him who he was playing against, how big the guy was, how small the guy was. He was a pest. He was a flea. He was a guy that didn't stop yapping. So not surprised that Michael Boley.
But you love those kind of guys on your team, though. We had Brandon Jacobs.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon would talk before the game, and he gonna let you know, like, you're not gonna tackle me. He let guys know. He was like, not a single one of y'all is gonna tackle me. It's gonna take a group effort.
Yeah, well,
and every time it took a group effort to get him down.
Well, speaking of Brandon Jacobs, he's been on our show quite a few times and decided to disappear. And he owes me and Speedy a nice dinner and a Jets Giants game. Now, Brandon, if you're listening to the show, and we got to get Brandon Marshall back.
He must have changed his number.
Brandon Jacobs back on the show.
He must have changed his number twice. I can't, even his email, I can't get a hold of him ever.
We definitely got to get him back on the show because he owes us a nice steak dinner and a game to go to with him and his son, by the way. And his son,
huge too,
huge, and has a chance to make the NFL next year. So very excited to get a chance to see. What is this? Is his second year of college football?
I think he's.
No, it's his freshman year.
Oh,
it's his freshman year.
Yeah, I think he was redshirted last year.
Okay, so this is his freshman year. So 2 more years of college football, and Brandon Marshall's son is like a 5-star recruit offensive tackle. So very interesting. Both your sons are tackles and have a chance to make it to the NFL. So very interesting story. Brandon Marshall's son is 6'7", 320 pounds. So Braden Jacobs, and he's been on our show too, by the way. Yep. He was sitting right next to Daddy Dukes. But Michael, we'd love to get you on the show again when you're in a place where we can interview you even better. I know you have a lot more other stories to get into when it comes to your Giant years and your football career. But the fact that you came on, it didn't matter where you were sitting, in the car or sitting on a bench at a park. We really appreciate the time, buddy.
Oh, no problem, man. I appreciate you guys taking the time to have me on.
Absolutely. And we're going to get you on again. So we're going to reach out to you.
For sure.
Enjoy the rest of your week and stay safe after, hopefully it's not too bad of a storm.
Yeah, we get those little dust storms out here from time to time.
Say hello to Mama Dukes, too, by the way.
All right, I will, man. Appreciate it.
Michael Boley, ladies and gentlemen, Super Bowl champion, Michael Boley, and 2011 New York Giants. Great story, great person. Obviously, you can tell that this guy is one of the best. One of the more interesting interviews we've had when it came to those New York Giants Super Bowl championship teams. So we've had a couple of them. They've been on the show, and I have a connection with Hakeem Nicks. I want to get Hakeem Nicks on the show. I want to see what he's doing now. Obviously away from football and and moving forward in his off-season career. So I know he's doing something with the foundation, but I'm working on getting Hakeem Nicks on the show. So that's going to be fun as well.